Recording. And now I'm going to share my screen. And as I mentioned before, we are on chapter 10, section 4, the end of sickness. So, all magic is an attempt at reconciling the irreconcilable. All religion is the recognition that the irreconcilable cannot be reconciled. Sickness and perfection are irreconcilable. If God created you perfect, you are perfect. If you believe you can be sick, you have placed other gods before him. God is not at war with the God of sickness you made, but you are. He is the symbol of deciding against God, and you are afraid of him because he cannot be reconciled with God's will. If you attack him, you will make him real to you. But if you refuse to worship him in whatever form he may appear to you, and wherever you think you see him, he will disappear into the nothingness out of which he was made. Reality can dawn only on an unclouded mind. It is always there to be accepted, but its acceptance depends on your willingness to have it. To know reality must involve the willingness to judge unreality for what it is. To overlook nothingness is merely to judge it correctly, and because of your ability to evaluate it truly, to let it go. Knowledge cannot dawn on a mind full of illusions, because truth and illusions are irreconcilable. Truth is whole and cannot be known by part of a mind. The sonship cannot be perceived as partly sick, because to perceive it that way is not to perceive it at all. If the sonship is one, it is one in all respects. Oneness cannot be divided. If you perceive other gods, your mind is split, and you will not be able to limit the split, because it is the sign that you have removed part of your mind from God's will. This means it is out of control. To be out of control is to be out of reason. And then the mind does become unreasonable. By defining the mind wrongly, you perceive it as functioning wrongly. God's laws will keep your mind at peace because peace is his will, and his laws are established to uphold it. His are the laws of freedom, but yours are the laws of bondage. Since freedom and bondage are irreconcilable, their laws cannot be understood together. The laws of God work only for your good, and there are no other laws beside his. Everything else is merely lawless and therefore chaotic. Yet God himself has protected everything he created by his laws. Everything that is not under them does not exist. Laws of chaos is a meaningless term. Creation is perfectly lawful, and the chaotic is without meaning because it is without God. You have given your peace to the gods you made, but they are not there to take it from you, and you cannot give it to them. You are not free to give up freedom, but only to deny it. You cannot do what God did not intend, because what he did not intend does not happen. Your gods do not bring chaos. You are endowing them with chaos and accepting it of them. All this has never been. Nothing but the laws of God has ever been, and nothing but his will ever be. You were created through his laws and by his will, and the manner of your creation established you a creator. What you have made is so unworthy of you that you could hardly want it if you were willing to see it as it is. You will see nothing at all, and your vision will automatically look beyond it to what is in you and all around you. Reality cannot break through the obstructions you interpose, but it will envelop you completely when you let them go. When you have experienced the protection of God, the making of idols becomes inconceivable. There are no strange images in the mind of God, and what is not in his mind cannot be in yours, because you are of one mind, and that mind belongs to him. It is yours because it belongs to him. For to him, ownership is sharing, and if it is so for him, it is so for you. His definitions are his laws, for by them he established the universe as what it is. No false gods you attempt to interpose between yourself and your reality affect truth at all. Peace is yours because God created you, and he created nothing else. The miracle is the act of a Son of God who has laid aside all false gods and calls on his brothers to do likewise. It is an act of faith because it is the recognition that his brother can do it. It is a call to the Holy Spirit in his mind, a call that is strengthened by joining. Because the miracle worker has heard God's voice, he strengthens it in a sick brother by weakening his belief in sickness, which he does not share. The power of one mind can shine into another because all the lamps of God were lit by the same spark. It is everywhere and it is eternal. In many, only the spark remains, for the great rays are obscured. Yet God has kept the spark alive so that the rays can never be completely forgotten. If you but see the little spark, you will learn of the greater light, for the rays are there, unseen. Perceiving the spark will heal, but knowing the light will create. Yet in the returning, the little light must be acknowledged first, for the separation was a descent from magnitude to littleness. But the spark is still as pure as the great light, because it is the remaining call of creation. Put all your faith in it, and God himself will answer you. Hello, Cynthia. Good to have you here. You know, it's so interesting. That still reminds me of that time I was in my deepest, darkest night of the soul, where I literally thought I was going to die. And all that was left was that little spark inside of me. That was all I could see because I had let go of everything else. And that was the great turning point in my life.
Yeah, the topic of darkness and light has come up lately for me a lot. One of the things that I read was that light comes from the darkness, and I believe it's because as long as there is that spark, it will illuminate brighter and brighter. You know, the Omen Young sign has the white and the dark spot in the center, and then the other side of it is the the dark or the white with the dark. They're opposites.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the Toltec wisdom stuff that I've read, they say that all knowledge comes from the light. The light has the knowledge information in it, which made me think that light is knowledge and darkness is just the absence of knowledge. And as long as we hold that spark, the light will always shine through that darkness or come out of that darkness, any way you want to look at it. I was having this discussion, the unity, and at the end of the discussion, I had some guy come over to me to tell me that there's always light. The light has always been here. It's just that it seems that there's darkness out there. And so this guy's like a physicist, I believe, because he was giving me the scientific explanation of it. It was it was so overwhelming, all the thoughts that came that yesterday morning, from the divine feminine to the light, the darkness. There was a guy from the Hare Krishna group speaking, dressed in the red and the lines in his face, and I mean it was a cosmic morning, like all I could say. And now we're referencing against here the light and the darkness in your story about the light and the darkness. Just keeps
Hmm.
adding to this. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting, right? When we learn all of the different things that is, that comes and goes with our experiences of learning the truth and accepting the truth and letting go of the ego.
Now, is the now, in this singularity though, is all light and no darkness? And that's when the duality is light and dark, the yin and yang. But with God, it's only one because we're all one. Isn't that am I wrong on that?
I don't know. I've never really posed that question. Let's take a look and see if the glossary says anything about light.
Because
Mm.
darkness disappears in the light. Maybe that's why I always wear black.
Yes, it does. There is something about light. It says light from the place of knowledge. It's a metaphor to describe the essence of spirit, God and Christ. In the true perception, it's a metaphor to describe the vision of Christ or forgiveness, which joins us in holy relationships and removes the darkened veils of guilt that keep us rooted in the ego's dream.
Hmm.
So we can look at bringing darkness to the light and the great rays.
Hmm.
All right. Any other conversations or discussions about this that we just read, or shall we continue to the next section?
There's just one sentence here in paragraph 5 that you just read, sentence 2, that I thought was, you cannot do what God did not intend because what he did not intend does not happen. That I
Yeah.
thought that's pretty early on in the book. All the things that have been said, there's not, it's just jumping right to the truth. And it's a third away into the text, but it's right there. It's not like we're building up to it. It's right there.
Right.
It's not even happened. Huh.
Right.
It, that's tough. You know, we can say that in a Course in Miracles class to each other, not step on any toes, I think. So it's
Yeah.
good. It's good to have people you can just say that with, and we know that's true.
Yeah. I think that was what our conversation was the other day in the Course in Miracle study group I went to at the Unity Church. And when the one woman was saying, so if a young child is raped, does that mean that we're just supposed to forgive the person? Are we not supposed to be angry? And, we were talking about this being an illusion and being in the world and how um, the fact that we're still dreaming. And as horrific as that is within the dream, it is still part of the dream. Now, it's not to say not to act in a loving way and not to do all of the things that you would do to, remove the child from harm and, to protect the next victim, from being raped by, doing whatever is necessary. And that is still part of the illusion. It's still part of the dream, doing all those things, right? So, that was her question was then it went down to what is the point then? And, if the point isn't to just be a good human and to do your best and be as loving as you can be, what's the point of this world? And it gets back to the point of the world is to understand that there is no point of this illusion other than seeing it as the illusion that it is, right? And part of that healing is being able to connect with the one mind of God by giving it to the Holy Spirit and allowing that light of God to be part of your mind at every moment, right? That's what the at-one-ment is, right? So I guess when we get to that place of asking, what's the point of being here? It's not like, well, then I'm just going to check out because that's not the answer either. The answer is how do you be in the world, but not of the world? How do you navigate being in that place of love, knowing it's an illusion, but still being able to take right action from a place of love and healing and being able to see the Christ in others?
Yes, it was the answer to that.
Yeah.
It's funny, Pam says it's early on in the course that this is very early in the course, but it sums up the whole course in the introduction.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists.
Right.
That's
That's
that's that's what the whole course is about.
Right. And I feel like each time I go through this, and gosh, what I've been doing it for 34 years, it's just another opportunity to see the real and to know that the unreal is part of my dream. And if I continue to stay aligned with the truth and the one mind of God, then I will be less um, pulled into the illusion of the ego and the dream and more able to take that right action without viscerally feeling pain, right? I guess that's the other part of it is when we take it on as this is all a chaos, right? Which we just read. It's chaos if we buy into it, but that's our choice. If we don't buy into the chaos and we only buy into the loving, energetic mind of God, then we won't take that on viscerally, right? Within this meat suit that we wear.
Beats.
And we'll be able to come from that place of love.
Yeah, it seems like we'd be of better service coming from that place of love and not being sucked into the part of the dream, but
Yes.
bringing light to it. If, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Anyone else have anything they want to share?
Makes me think of a line from the movie The Lion King, where Mustafa says to his son, they're outside looking at the stars at night,
Mm.
and I guess if Simba asks him a question about the stars, and he says that those are our ancestors out there watching over us.
Yeah.
the light
Mm-hmm.
coming from the stars.
Hmm.
Definitely.
And that's also part of the dream, right?
Sure.
Good point.
All right, let's keep going. We are into the denial of God. All right. The rituals of the god of sickness are strange and very demanding. Joy is never permitted, for depression is the sign of allegiance to him. Depression means that you have forsworn God. Many are afraid of blasphemy, but they do not understand what it means. They do not realize that to deny God is to deny their own identity. And in this sense, the wages of sin is death. The sense is very literal. Denial of life perceives its opposite, as all forms of denial replace what is with what is not. No one can really do this, but that you can think you can and believe you have is beyond dispute. Do not forget, however, that to deny God will inevitably result in projection, and you will believe that others, and not yourself, have done this to you. You must receive the message you give because it is the message you want. You may believe that you judge your brothers by the messages they give you, but you have judged them by the messages you give to them. Do not attribute your denial of joy to them, or you cannot see the spark in them that would bring joy to you. It is the denial of the spark that brings depression. For whenever you see your brothers without it, you are denying God. Allegiance to the denial of God is the ego's religion. The God of sickness obviously demands the denial of health, because health is in direct opposition to its own survival. But consider what this means to you. Unless you are sick, you cannot keep the gods you made, for only in sickness could you possibly want them. Blasphemy, then, is self destructive, not God destructive. It means that you're willing not to know yourself in order to be sick. This is the offering your God demands, because having made him out of your insanity, he is an insane idea. He has many forms, but although he may seem to be many different things, he is but one idea, the denial of God. Sickness and death seemed to enter the mind of God's Son against his will. The attack on God made his son think he was fatherless. And out of this depression, he made the God of depression. This was his alternative to joy, because he would not accept the fact that although he was a creator, he had been created. Yet the Son is helpless without the Father, who alone is his help. I said before that of yourself you can do nothing, but you are not of yourself. If you were, what you have made would be true, and you could never escape. It is because you did not make yourself that you need be troubled over nothing. Your gods are nothing, because your Father did not create them. You cannot make creators who are unlike your Creator, any more than he could have created a son who was unlike him. If creation is sharing, it cannot create what is unlike itself. It can share only what it is. Depression is isolation, and so it could not have been created. Son of God, you have not sinned, but you have been much mistaken. Yet this can be corrected, and God will help you, knowing that you could not sin against him. You denied him because you loved him, knowing that if you recognized your love for him, you could not deny him. Your denial of him, therefore, means that you love him and that you know he loves you. Remember that what you deny, you must have once known. If you accept denial, you can accept its undoing. Your Father has not denied you. He does not retaliate, but he does call you to return. When you think he has not answered your call, you have not answered his. He calls to you from every part of the sonship because of his love for his Son. If you hear his message, he has answered you, and you will learn of him if you hear aright. The love of God is in everything he created, for his Son is everywhere. Look with peace upon your brothers, and God will come rushing into your heart in gratitude for your gift to him. Do not look to the God of sickness for healing, but only to the God of love. For healing is the acknowledgement of him. When you acknowledge him, you will know that he has never ceased to acknowledge you, and that in his acknowledgement of you lies your being. You are not sick, and you cannot die. But you can confuse yourself with things that do. Remember, though, that to do this is blasphemy, for it means that you are looking without love on God and his creation, from which he cannot be separated. Only the eternal can be loved, for love does not die. What is of God is his forever, and you are of God. Would he allow himself to suffer? And would he offer his Son anything that is not acceptable to him? If you will accept yourself as God created you, you will be incapable of suffering. Yet to do this, you must acknowledge him as your creator. This is not because you will be punished otherwise. It is merely because your acknowledgement of your Father is the acknowledgement of yourself as you are. Your Father created you holy without sin, holy without pain, and holy without suffering of any kind. If you deny him, you bring sin, pain, and suffering into your own mind because of the power he gave it. Your mind is capable of creating worlds, but it can also deny what it creates because it is free. You do not realize how much you have denied yourself and how much God, in his love, would not have it so. Yet he would not interfere with you because he would not know his Son if he were not free. To interfere with you would be to attack himself, and God is not insane. When you deny him, you are insane. Would you have him share your insanity? God will never cease to love his Son, and his Son will never cease to love him. That was the condition of his Son's creation, fixed forever in the mind of God. To know that is sanity. To deny it is insanity. God gave himself to you in your creation, and his gifts are eternal. Would you deny yourself to him? Out of your gifts to him, the kingdom will be restored to his Son. His Son removed himself from his gift by refusing to accept what had been created for him and what he had created in the name of his Father. Heaven waits for his return, for it was created as the dwelling place of God's Son. You are not at home anywhere else or in any other condition. Do not deny yourself the joy that was created for you, for the misery you have made for yourself. God has given you the means for undoing what you have made. Listen, and you will learn how to remember what you are. If God knows his children as wholly sinless, it is blasphemous to perceive them as guilty. If God knows his children as wholly without pain, it is blasphemous to perceive suffering anywhere. If God knows his children to be wholly joyous, it is blasphemous to feel depressed. All of these illusions and the many other forms that blasphemy may take are refusals to accept creation as it is. If God created his Son perfect, that is how you must learn to see him, to learn of his reality. And as part of the sonship, that is how you must see yourself, to learn of yours. Do not perceive anything God did not create, or you are denying him. His is the only fatherhood, and it is yours only because he has given it to you. Your gifts to yourself are meaningless, but your gifts to your creations are like his, because they are given in his name. That is why your creations are as real as his. Yet the real fatherhood must be acknowledged if the real son is to be known. You believe that the sick things you have made are your real creations because you believe that the sick images you perceive are the sons of God. Only if you accept the fatherhood of God will you have anything, because his fatherhood gave you everything. That is why to deny him is to deny yourself. Arrogance is the denial of love, because love shares and arrogance withholds. As long as both appear to you to be desirable, the concept of choice, which is not of God, will remain with you. While this is not true in eternity, it is true in time, so that while time lasts in your mind, there will be choices. Time itself is your choice. If you would remember eternity, you must look only on the eternal. If you allow yourself to become preoccupied with the temporal, you are living in time. As always, your choice is determined by what you value. Time and eternity cannot both be real because they contradict each other. If you will accept only what is timeless as real, you will begin to understand eternity and make it yours. Oh, that seems like an easy choice.
Right.
I choose that.
Yeah.
Boy, that was a long section. Sorry, guys.
Mm.
Went on and on and on.
Part of a prayer that I say, and it's part of my yoga practice. It's the Asatoma prayer. It's lead me, like Maida's practice, lead me from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, and from time-bound consciousness to the timeless state of being. And I like the lead me part because yeah, otherwise it would seem like it would be an impossible choice if our ego thought we could make that happen,
Good
which,
point, Pam.
right, we have to give it over and
Yeah,
trust that guidance will lead us to that timeless state of being.
that's the Holy
And when I
Spirit.
say, and when I think of time bound, in my mind, I'm thinking body mind
Yep.
state of being.
Mhm. Great point. Yeah, the ego can't do it, otherwise it won't be real.
Made by the ego.
Can't hear you, Joe.
It would be made by the ego, therefore not real. If
Right.
if
Yeah.
Makes me think of visualizing the eternal from a line that I've read that says that what we do and what we say echoes in eternity.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, a lot of this section was about contradictions. Did you notice that? All the different contradictions. You can't have both. You have to choose one. The denial of one is the acceptance of the other, and the acceptance of one is the denial of the other.
Hmm.
Because we have free will and we can choose. I was thinking, and this was really going down the ego road, is I've been watching that Netflix show on dinosaurs. And like billions and billions of years ago, it was just a big desert. And then the rain comes, and then there's just the aquatic creatures, and you think man, the illusion of man, according to the timeline of the earth, wasn't even there then. So I was thinking to myself, so could I have possibly been a dinosaur? What? What?
Uh, okay.
When, if the separation had occurred back then, maybe I was a dinosaur. I don't know. It's a funny thing to think about, but again, it's all about, well, if your mind is going to go there, first of all, you're aligning with time, not eternity. You're also asking an ego question, so you're not aligning with God or love. So yes, we could get into this never-ending loop of questions and but I want to know, but what do you want to know? You're still asking about the dream. You still want to know more information about the dream. So how is that going to help you?
And again, this is the stuff that makes me think of weird stuff. Because I heard that the water that we're drinking today came from dinosaur piss, or filtered water. It's filtered from dinosaur piss. I don't know why it made me think of that. Somewhere I read that.
But you're not really drinking water because this is part of the dream.
Well, I mean, we are like 90% water, right?
This,
So,
this illusory body is, right?
oh yeah. So it makes me think of another line that I learned up here in Binghamton. The term, oh, he's full of piss and vinegar,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Rambunctious young people. That's how, they're described up here.
We
I
say
don't
that
know.
down here too.
Yeah.
There too.
I thought that came from Michigan.
It could be. It could be a northern thing. I don't know. But I first heard it up here.
That's funny. All right, shall we go into chapter 11? God or the ego? Or does anybody have anything else they want to discuss about chapter 10 still before we move on? All right, let's keep going. God or the ego, chapter 11, introduction. Either God or the ego is insane. If you will examine the evidence on both sides fairly, you will realize this must be true. Neither God nor the ego proposes a partial thought system. Each is internally consistent, but they are diametrically opposed in all respects, so that partial allegiance is impossible. Remember, too, that their results are as different as their foundations, and their fundamentally irreconcilable natures cannot be reconciled by vacillations between them. Nothing alive is fatherless, for life is creation. Therefore, your decision is always an answer to the question, who is my father? And you will be faithful to the father you choose. Yet, what would you say to someone who believed this question really involves conflict. If you made the ego, how can the ego have made you? The authority problem is still the only source of conflict because the ego was made out of the wish of God's Son to father him. The ego then is nothing more than a delusional system in which you made your own father. Make no mistake about this. It sounds insane when it is stated with perfect honesty, but the ego never looks on what it does with perfect honesty. Yet that is its insane premise, which is carefully hidden in the dark cornerstone of its thought system. And either the ego, which you made, is your father, or its whole thought system will not stand. You make by projection, but God creates by extension. The cornerstone of God's creation is you, for his thought system is light. Remember the rays that are there unseen. The more you approach the center of his thought system, the clearer the light becomes. The closer you come to the foundation of the ego's thought system, the darker and more obscure becomes the way. Yet even the little spark in your mind is enough to lighten it. Bring this light fearlessly with you and bravely hold it up to the foundation of the ego's thought system. Be willing to judge it with perfect honesty. Open the dark cornerstone of terror on which it rests and bring it out into the light. There you will see that it rested on meaninglessness and that everything of which you have been afraid was based on nothing. My brother, you are part of God and part of me. When you have at last looked at the ego's foundation without shrinking, you will also have looked upon ours. I come to you from our Father to offer you everything again. Do not refuse it in order to keep a dark cornerstone hidden, for its protection will not save you. I give you the lamp, and I will go with you. You will not take this journey alone. I will lead you to your true Father, who hath need of you, as I have. Will you not answer the call of love with joy? Yeah, that's inspiring. You don't have to go alone.
It's interesting to think of Jesus and God as needing us. But it says that right there in the second to the last sentence.
Yeah,
They are us.
Yeah. Right.
yeah. So we need to get ourselves on board. We need ourselves to get aligned with that one mind of God. Actually, we already are. We just need to let go of the ego. We really don't need to do anything.
Need do nothing.
Yeah. Except let go of my ego.
Yep, the acronym, right? Of ego, right? What is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
So edging got out. However, I wonder, sometimes I wonder if this is just not a grand experiment with this species of body. and that everything that we are learning is just trying to explain our existence here, but that we have been modified, and that, shush,
The
that
matrix.
the whole evolution thing is really not true at all, or it may be true, but we have been propelled through centuries as a result of the experiment into what we are today.
I think it's part of the belief in the ego thought system. And within that thought system, there's so many layers and layers and layers and layers and layers, right? And so many rabbit holes you can go down. And that's the whole premise of the ego. Follow me down this rabbit hole. Don't look up there. Don't look to the truth of what you are. Follow me this way. Go down this rabbit hole with me, right? It's like smoke and mirrors, distraction.
The matrix.
Yeah, let me show you this next shiny thing. Yeah.
Cars go fast, things blow up.
The guy was like, if this is an illusion, I want to stay here because this steak tastes really good.
Maybe
Yeah.
we're evolving into something that the ego is just not part of. I mean, because we didn't, I mean, evolution, the ego is kind of part of evolution, that it's for our survival as this, I don't know. Because then I start going to, well, even our species is not going to last forever because the earth isn't going to last forever. So
Which goes
it's
back to maybe we
evolving.
were dinosaurs when we were in our ego brain.
Yeah.
I wonder if the dinosaurs had A Course in Miracles.
Well,
It's
it goes to the question, because this is something that, growing up in New York and going to the museum and all of that, you get all the stories about the dinosaurs. And one of the beliefs back then was that men did not exist when the dinosaurs existed. Okay, so there was no humans on
right,
Earth. I
right.
mean, now that belief I think has changed. I'm not sure.
And
Okay, I
we were
don't know.
around with the mastodons and the saber-toothed tigers.
Well, there were many different eras of the Earth. If you want to take a look at that as part of the illusion that is Earth, there's been many different cycles where things have been killed off again and again and again and again, right? And the only thing that like lived was like a cockroach or something, and that started the next evolution of species. But anyway, yeah, I think again, to Joe's point, is that's still the ego. And A Course in Miracles says it was that moment we forgot to laugh and we took it all too seriously. It was that tiny mad idea where we forgot who we were and we took it all too seriously.
Doesn't that quote start with something like out of the perfection of eternity? I don't really know the words, but isn't it? Because that's important. Came the tiny mad idea.
Right. Yeah. Let me take a
And
look.
thoughts, thoughts are the part of the illusion.
Yeah. Idea. We forgot to laugh.
That helps
Let's
me
see
a
if I
lot
can.
sometimes. I just lump them all together. Oh, those thoughts. Oh,
Chap-
that's part of the unreal. It
It says
helps to let them
chapter
go.
section 10 is the dreaming of the world takes many forms because the body seeks in many ways to prove it is autonomous and real. Um, the body is a central figure in the dreaming of the world. I'm trying to find where it says, forgot to laugh. Hold on a second. They're giving me the whole thing. Okay, yes. Into eternity, where all is one, there crept a tiny mad idea at which the Son of God remembered not to laugh. In his forgetting, did the thought become a serious idea and possible of both accomplishment and real effects. The instant that the madness of the cause is recognized, it can have no effects. Together we can laugh them both away and understand that time cannot intrude upon eternity. Yeah. Interesting.
So what is that? So what is that suggesting, or what is it saying?
That's how all this world of form began.
Mm-hmm.
We dreamed it up from that original tiny mad idea where I don't know exactly what the idea was, but there's got to be more than this, or we wanted to experience something different. We weren't, this
Nothing
isn't good
real
enough.
can be threatened and nothing unreal exists.
Right.
Everything that's not real, we made up. Or, the ego made up.
But it seems like the ego, I mean, as we know it, is before humans. I mean, that's a human mind kind of thing. That's not a dog thing or a cockroach thing, right? It
Mm-hmm.
some part of our brain that creates that self-awareness, which creates this ego. So I don't know what.
We
That's just a
can't we
question.
can't really tell what other beings are thinking. I mean, whales or dolphins or cockroaches or they could all um the mind isn't necessarily human. Everything has a different aspect to it. And I mean, the loyalty of a dog or the aloofness of a cat or they all they have their characters too. And it might be weird, this is what we think, but they probably have a different aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
But then, okay, it in part the thing we do, we have that past and the future, and that's we create this ego from all that. Well, that's the human ego. I mean, but a cockroach doesn't know past and future.
How do you know that?
Well, I mean, I think science tells us they kind of know the working of the brain, of their brain. I mean, they have a certain kind of, they see the world in a certain way, and you could say they're sentient or conscious, but um, I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh,
It's
I
all
totally agree with you.
right. It's all part of the illusion. So here's the actual text. I think I was reading someone's interpretation of it. Let us return the dream he gave away unto the dreamer, who perceived the dream as separate from himself and done to him. Into eternity, where all is one, there crept a tiny mad idea at which the Son of God remembered not to laugh. In his forgetting, did the thought become a serious idea and possible of both accomplishment and real effects. Together, we can laugh them both away and understand that time cannot intrude upon eternity. It is a joke to think that time can come to circumvent eternity, which means there is no time. So if there is no time, then apparently there was no evolution either.
And
So
then
I've looked into different animals' eyes, a cow and dogs and cats. I've looked into them and I've seen just as much uh, depth and emotion as I do to any human. Some of them even more so. And experiences with dolphins that are just, I feel like they're more advanced than we are, and they're mellower and they take time as it comes, and it's I don't know if there's any consciousness that is more than what my human brain can comprehend, but I really truly believe that there's a lot more consciousness out there that we have any concept of.
I
And I
would
can't
think so
prove it.
too.
And it's all part of the dream.
Exactly. Well, that might just be me seeing that in the people.
Right. Projecting it onto them.
Yes.
I've thought about all that too, but it does seem like they don't know. Well, see, then about past and future, but then you think about your dog, they kind of exhibit some of that, but I don't know. It seems like
Bats don't though.
the past and future thing creates so much of our
The best
dream
thing is just to be
thing.
now.
Yeah, and then when you realize the only real time is now, maybe they're more real than we are.
Yeah.
Oh man, people have a tendency to poo-poo cows, but they are just so now. They're just really just love being where they are right at the moment, and it's just amazing.
That's funny. That reminds me of when I was younger, I think I was in first grade, and they started teaching us this really bizarre way of spelling, which messed everybody up in my class. But there was this curious cow. And I remember it started with "How now, brown cow?" And you just said there in the moment of now, I'm like, oh, maybe that's whoever wrote that was really enlightened.
Yeah.
Buddha says, "How now, brown cow?"
How now, brown cow?
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah, like I said before, this could be one huge experiment.
Well, it's all part of the illusion. So whoever decided they wanted to make it part of the experiment is clearly within the
insane.
illusion. And if you want to focus on that,
They're an ego.
you'll make it true for you.
Let go my ego.
Uh,
Like, oh my
yeah.
ego.
So we're more like the story of Frankenstein.
Right?
We've been put together by pieces.
Frank,
Oh, and then they blew spirit into us. Hmm?
Maybe, maybe not. I mean, we're still attached to the one mind of God. We never left,
Well, so if we're eternal, right, we continue to exist in some form, shape, or whatever in the ether.
right? We're just dreaming this. We created virtual reality way before its time,
And we continue to do it unbeknownst to us.
but now we're waking up to it and we're
So now we're
being,
waking up to it. In fact, that's the next book we're going to read at the bookstore, Awake.
but
time to
now we
reboot.
need to make a choice. Time to make the choice. What will you choose? 60,000 times a day with all of your thoughts.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
It's a handy tool, just that one question. Okay, is this the Holy Spirit talking through me, or is it the ego? It's,
Mhm.
if I can just stop, in that moment and ask, it's usually quite obvious.
You're not feeling joy. It's the ego.
Right, right.
Something has gone wrong.
Yes. In my thinking.
Right. You've aligned with
Yeah,
fear
I'm
and
not
stuff.
out there. Nothing's gone wrong out there. Everything's the way it's meant to be.
Right. Not in truth, but
Mm.
only the illusion. So how to be
And
in the world, but not of the world.
and what if it's all illusion?
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Red
We'll
pill
find
and blue.
out, won't we,
Yeah.
when we transition? Hopefully.
No, that's not. They say the body death is not the ego death. The
Not
ego
the
lives on if you are still in alignment.
Yeah, it's not the end.
You don't need to die of the body to know the truth. You
Hmm.
have to make that conscious
Okay.
choice.
All right. Well, there's hope yet. Okay, good.
And
This is a great book. I know you've probably read it.
Uh-huh.
Beyond Fear. It was a great book.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, yes,
Re-
yes, yes. I need to read it again.
Yeah, it's about death and
Yep.
fear of death. It's really good.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Anyhow, that is the end of our session for today. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Always great to have you.
Anybody talks to Mary, to give her our best.
Yes,
We
Mary
will. We will.
said
I will. Yes.
she is okay and going through some interesting transitions right now.
Yes.
It's amazing how much better your connection is now than it was at the beginning.
Of course, because we're ending now.
And you
We
forgot
have
about you
ego
forgot about it.
anyway.
And we've been laughing a lot. We've been laughing a lot.
We laughed it away. That's
That's
right.
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
we
Great.
forgot to laugh.
Maybe we should start with that.
Yeah.
Start with laughing. We'll do laughing yoga next time. We'll start with that.
Right. Right.
All
Um,
right, everyone. Thanks for joining. I
Thank
will
you.
see
Thank
you next
you.
week.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Wow.